Hola, buenos días. Hello and good morning and welcome to your next Spanish lesson. Today we're going to be looking at lesson 6, which is going to the market. Muy bien. The market in Spanish is called el mercado. Okay, so these are some typical phrases or short sentences that are perfect for using when you're going around a Spanish market. So let's get stuck in. Vamos. The first one, ¿quién va? ¿Quién va? ¿Quién is who in Spanish, and va you might recognize from when we say vamos is from the Spanish verb to go. So it's saying who goes, kind of meaning whose turn is it. So in Spanish, if we're in a queue and somebody says ¿quién va? Whose turn is it? Let me know what's going on. Say me toca, it's my turn. Or we could use some of the alternatives. So if I want to say it's my turn, I say me toca. Tocar in Spanish, apart from meaning touch, it can mean to take turns as well. So if they say ¿quién va? And I say me toca, it's my turn. Or it's your turn, te toca. If somebody says to you, oh, it's your turn, te toca. Or another way of saying ¿quién va? Could be a quién le toca. It's another way of wording in Spanish, whose turn is it, which is a little bit longer and it's a trickier way. Learning Spanish, using this sentence from somebody at beginner's level would make it a lot more complicated than just using ¿quién va? But if you do hear it, it's good to know what it means. A quién le toca. Quién, again, meaning who. And le is referring to he or she, meaning whose turn is it, because it could be anybody's. Toca, again, is referring to the turn. A quién le toca. And the a in the front, just in case you want to know what that is. That's something in Spanish that they call the personal a. We don't use that in English. The explanation of that would come in in the intermediate Spanish. So try not to worry about that too much. But if you do hear a quién le toca, you know what it means. You know they're asking whose turn it is. Or if you wanted to use it yourself, a quicker and easier way, you would say ¿quién va? Remembering that the V is like a soft B sound. ¿Quién va? ¿Quién va? Muy bien. Me toca, it's my turn. Te toca, it's your turn. Le toca a, it's so-and-so's turn. You could use a name straight after that if you knew somebody's name, or you could use one of my examples here. Le toca a esta señora. It's this lady's turn. Or le toca a este señor. It's this man's turn. Dame is literally give me in Spanish. Sometimes the way of asking for things is a lot more direct than in English, where we would say, could I have this, please? Could I have that? We would just say in Spanish, dame, especially at the market. It's busy, it's loud. If you want to be heard and you want to be seen to and you want to be treated like a native, you're best to use the native equivalents. You know, you want to make sure that you're being charged the same as the regulars and not overcharged and all of that. You would say dame. If you wanted a kilo or something, you would say dame un kilo. Or half a kilo, dame medio kilo. It does probably seem a little bit rude coming from English, but in Spanish it's perfectly acceptable. Things are a lot more direct. If you wanted a quarter of a kilo, you would say un cuarto de, or you could say 250 gramos. So grams are gramos. Or if you wanted less, 200 gramos. Así would be asking like this. So imagine that you've had, I don't know, 200 grams of cherries and they're showing you so you can see if it looks like it's enough. Así, and you could say sí, bien, or you could say un poco más, a little bit more, or un poco menos, a little bit less. If they're filling your bag up and you want to say, stop, up to here, that's enough, you would say, yeah, 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 yeah. If they keep filling it up, you could say it a few times, yeah. Which really, the translation varies. It's a very Spanish expression. It could mean that's enough, kind of stop there, or up to here, all kind of meaning the same thing, that that's enough, basically. It can be used, it doesn't have to be used in this context always as well. It can be used just in general life, really. If you wanted to say to somebody, that's enough, stop. Yeah, it can be used anywhere. Toma is take it, or here you go. So your fruit or vegetables or whatever you're buying at the market's all bagged up, and they say to you, toma. A lot of my students say that when they hear this word, it sounds like a D. They hear doma. So that's just something I thought I'd mention. If you do think, oh, what's toma? It's definitely toma, but it's just understood for some reason as a D sometimes with beginners. So just listen out for toma. Here you go, take it. ¿Qué más? Literally means what more, meaning anything else. What more would you like? ¿Qué más? Nothing else, nada más. Do you have a bigger one? ¿Tienes uno más grande? So if we're just talking in general, we can always use uno. Uno is meaning one, and as you know, the O ending is masculine. So we could use this to talk in general if we're not too sure if an object's masculine or feminine, if it doesn't necessarily matter. Do you have a bigger one? ¿Tienes uno más grande? If we knew for a fact that the object that we're talking about is feminine, then we could use una. ¿Tienes una más grande? If we're talking about a t-shirt in Spanish, which is camiseta, ending in A, feminine, la camiseta, then we could use tienes una camiseta. Tienes una más grande. But once again, at a beginner's level, just being able to use a sentence, do you have a bigger one? Tienes uno más grande would be more than acceptable at this level. If you wanted to ask for a smaller one, tienes uno más pequeño, or feminine, tienes una más pequeña. Remember, if we're using the masculine or feminine, we would follow through with all of the adjectives. So if I'm using here una, feminine, my pequeño, which is an adjective, it's describing that something's small, we would also change any of our descriptions to feminine. Pequeño would become pequeña. So if I'm referring to the camiseta, and I know, oh, I know camiseta, I know it's la camiseta, it's definitely feminine. So I'm going to ask, ¿tienes una más pequeña? These are things that come with a lot of practice at first. You might just be chuffed with being able to say, do you have a smaller one in general? ¿Tienes uno más pequeño? Nobody's going to correct you on that because it's perfectly understandable that you're asking for a smaller size. ¿Tienes uno más pequeño? O femenino, tienes una más pequeña. ¿Quieres una bolsa? Do you want a bag? ¿Quieres una bolsa? So here, another one I hear a lot with my students is mixing un bolso with una bolsa. So un bolso in masculine with the O on the end is a handbag, and bolsa in feminine with an A is a plastic supermarket carrier bag. So in this case, we're at the market. Would you like a bag? ¿Quieres una bolsa? And then if you wanted to ask, can I get past, please? Can I go through? We would say with permission in Spanish, con permiso. Con permiso. I've also added 3 places, although we do have the places lesson. These places kept popping into my mind when I was creating this lesson, so I've popped them here as well. We've got carnicería, which is the butchers, frutería, the greengrocers, and pescadería, the fishmongers. And the reason I put this is because you do tend to hear a lot of these market sentences at these 3 places. Sometimes these places are also found in the supermarkets, even in places like Mercadona or Carrefour or whatever supermarket you go to, Consume, the supermarkets where they've got their separate meat and fish counters. You would hear this a lot. You would hear, imagine somebody's having some prawns from the fish counter, un poco más, a little bit more. Or somebody's buying some Spanish jamón serrano and they say 200 gramos, 200 grams. Or they might say, yeah, that's enough. Or your bag's ready, toma. Or ¿qué más? Nada más. All of these things. Definitely quien va or a quien le toca, whose turn is it when it tends to get busy in there. Me toca. If they're calling out numbers. Number, I don't know, 63, 63 for the fish counter. Me toca, it's my turn. Aquí, over here. Okay, so I've put those places on, which are common places where you might be using some of the market vocabulary as well. Okay, the next bit we've got is fruit. En español, fruta, la fruta. So I put a few different bits on here. Plátanos. Or you could say in Spanish, bananas. Bananas are your regular banana. Plátano is the Canary Island plátano banana, which is more expensive and sweeter. Plátanos, bananas, melón, sandía, cerezas, fresas, manzanas. So let's just have a little look at the pronunciation and let's take advantage of some of the accents we've got here to kind of link this back to lesson 1 with the pronunciation. So we've got here an accent on the A. So we say plátanos, and you can hear the strength is at the beginning part of the word, plátanos. En cambio, on the other hand, we've got melón. You can hear on. The on is the strength part at the end, melón. Igual que, equal to, same as, igual que sandía. Sandía, we can hear the ia is the stronger part. Then we've got cerezas. Cerezas are an interesting one because we've got the C followed by an E. Remember, when the C is followed by an E or an I, it always makes the tongue trapped between the teeth sound of like a TH in English. And the Z also always makes this sound, no matter what letter it's followed by. So we've got two ths. We've got cerezas, cerezas. Fresas, strawberries. Manzanas, once again. This is, especially at beginner level, a word that's often mispronounced, manzanas. Remember to keep the A's short. The A is A, letra A, manzanas. And the Z is a sound. It's not manzana. Don't make the R's long, and don't do a Z, do a manzanas. Manzanas. Muy bien. Perfecto. Y aquí tenemos one more on the list. Peras, pears. So we could use this. We could say, dame un kilo de peras. I'll have a kilo of pears, please. Give me a kilo of pears. Dame un kilo de peras. Dame medio kilo de cerezas. Give me half a kilo of cherries. Dame 200 gramos de fresas. I'll let you check that one yourself. Un poco más. Un poco más de fresas, por favor. A few more strawberries, please. ¿Qué más? Oh, nada más, gracias. Nothing else, thank you. That will be it for today. Or así, like this, if they're showing you. Así, las fresas? No, un poquito menos. No, a little bit less. ¿Quieres una bolsa? Sí or no? So this is something you can practice. If you've got somebody at home that you can practice with, you can make your own little dialogue do a little role play to practice this, and just going to the markets, getting out, listening to Spanish is really, really helpful as well. Okay, verdura y hortalizas, or hortaliza, verdura y hortaliza. So verduras in Spanish are vegetables. Hortaliza is, I suppose, what we would call in English salad, our salad bits, maybe a lettuce. Tomato in English is a fruit, very slightly, vegetables and salad. Patatas, potatoes. Zanahorias, or zanahoria, carrots. Lechuga, lettuce. Tomate, tomato. Cebolla, onion, and ajo, garlic. And then a roast chicken that you can buy at the market also. En español es un pollo asado. Muy bien. We could say, quiero un pollo con patatas, if you want the chicken and the potatoes. Vamos a practicar la pronunciación. So let's check the pronunciation. Patatas, zanahoria. So remembering the th again here, and remembering that the H is always silent in Spanish. Zanahoria, zanahoria, or more than one with an S. Zanahorias. Lechuga, lechuga. Tomate. Cebolla, we've got the sound again, and we've got the y sound of the double L, cebolla. Ajo, we've got the throat sound of the J, ajo. And we've got pollo with the double L also. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the list in Spanish, because you have the translations here. You can also rewind the lesson and watch back as many times as necessary. But just to really get a feel of the Spanish pronunciation, I'm purely just going to read the Spanish list now. Vale, vamos, solamente en español. ¿Quién va? ¿A quién le toca? ¿Me toca? ¿Te toca? ¿Le toca? Le toca a esta señora. Le toca a este señor. Dame 1 kilo de. Medio kilo de. 1 kilo de manzanas. Medio kilo de peras. 1/4 de fresas. 200 gramos de cerezas. Así, un poco más. Un poco menos. Ya. Toma. ¿Qué más? Nada más. ¿Tienes uno más grande? ¿Tienes una más grande? ¿Tienes uno más pequeño? ¿Tienes una más pequeña? ¿Quieres una bolsa? Con permiso. Carnicería, frutería, pescadería. Fruta. Plátanos, melón, sandía, cerezas, fresas, manzanas, peras, patatas, zanahorias, lechuga, tomate, cebolla, ajo y pollo o pollo asado. Perfecto, muchas gracias. So another thing you could do if you wanted a little bit of extra practice out of this lesson, using Google, using a dictionary, whatever you want to use, you could check if some of the words here are masculino or femenino, which also helps when you're putting some of the Spanish words into sentences. So plátano, and then in O, masculine, el plátano. Melón, el melón. Sandía, ending in A, would be feminine, la sandía. When you look up a Spanish word, it will always tell you in brackets if it's M for masculine or F for feminine, which is good practice for when you're doing some sentence building, which later on in some of our recorded lessons, we'll be having a look at sentence building as well. A little something extra, a little bit of homework you could do related to this lesson. So I hope that you liked the market lesson. I hope you can practice it, get out and use it soon. Muchas gracias. Y nos vemos. We will see each other in clase número 7. So I'll see you over in lesson 7. Muchas gracias. Buen día. Have a good day. Buen día. Adiós.